we're hoping that what we offer at Mad Lions is something which can be competitive, definitely, with anybody in Europe. And I don't think any of our players are keen to rush to North America right now.
Hi guys, this is Tom reporting from the LEC, and with me here today is Peter Dunn, the head coach, the mastermind behind the Mad Lions. How are you doing, Peter?
Hello Tom, very nice to talk this evening.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Obviously the Mad Lions are off to an amazing start so far, and you guys just beat Origin. How do you feel about all this?
It's been pretty good. Origin is obviously a matchup we care more deeply about than many others in the LEC. Xerxes, who was on Splice last year, is of course their jungler. And there's obviously a lot of competition, I would say, that makes between the two teams that makes Mad Lions versus Origin games always a little bit spicy, outside of the game. So very happy to have won today.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And actually, I want to talk to you a bit about this roster, because it's been said in many interviews now by you and by Mac or in podcasts, that this roster was built with the idea that in 2 years' time, you guys would be a legitimate contesting team for the likes of G2 and, get to Worlds. And so far, you guys are already ahead of schedule, it seems. Do you feel the same way?
I think we're a bit ahead of schedule. I think it's not just the players in the roster, but also the coaching staff. I mean, people sometimes forget that this is Mac's first. Mac has been coaching for many, many years, but this is his first time head coaching at LEC level, and he has sort of emerged into this. And leading the team on stage, and he has, of course, had an exceptional start to his career. I think with a lot of our players that we chose, there was always this potential upside in the players, but I would be lying, for instance, if I said that I knew Kazi and Kaiser would have emerged into, arguably the best bot lane in the LEC, maybe a top 2, maybe a top 3. I don't think anybody would put them below top 3. But for sure, we didn't necessarily know this when we signed them, but we believe that they had the potential. And it's been really exciting on our side, watching the players emerge and sort of flourish in this kind of environment under the pressure that being in LEC puts on you. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned Mac, right? Because you're right. People definitely tend to focus on the players because obviously those are the names that are shining on stage, So how have you seen his growth throughout the year so far?
Honestly, for Mac, there's. I want to think about how much detail I'm going to. Mac has basically come in as somebody who's been an assistant coach. He was our head of performance last year, and he was assistant coach back when I was on stage with Splice 2 years ago. And over the past 2 years, he's basically spent a lot of time observing. Had a lot of thoughts about the game, a lot of thoughts for things that we were doing well under me and then Duke, that we were doing well as coaches on stage, and some things that he thought could be improved. And he's had a lot of freedom this split to experiment. We're doing a lot of things on the performance side. I would say, without going into too many details, I think we probably scrim less than pretty much any other team in the LEC. And we have a lot of that more time is focused on working with the players outside of the game and working with the players one-to-one. And honestly, some of Mac's ideas, like this idea of scrimming less, for somebody who's been in the industry for 9 years, it seems crazy. But of course, you want to give him the flexibility, and these ideas have I think helped our players improve a lot, but also helped to keep our team fresh and maybe helped to keep the morale pretty high within the team. So he's had a lot of these ideas, and it's definitely been very, very interesting watching him as somebody who's been in the industry for a long time, worked with many coaches. Some of the things which Mac has, some of the ideas which he has about coaching and about how you work with your players outside the game are very unique. And I think it's important to credit him alongside the players who, of course, have bought into the system that he has. So I think I'm very pleased, of course, as.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't have much reason to be unhappy with.
Exactly.
Yeah, what I want to ask you, you mentioned, right? He has unique ideas. Obviously, you're probably not gonna give away too much of your secrets, but can you give me a little tip?
I can talk a little bit about. So one thing that I think has been publicly talked about, I think Mac talked about how we do something called a writer test, personality test on all of our players, and we shift our practice and our coaching specifically. Each is tailor made to each individual, so it's tailor made to the team, but also there's a lot more one-to-one attention, I think, in the system that Mad Lions use compared to other teams. And this was true under Mac. This was true under me. This was true under Duke, and now Mac has just extended it to the next logical step. So a lot of it is about efficiency. A lot of it is about tailor-made, making your practice to each individual person, and a lot of it is about making sure that you train as efficiently as possible. We have very low tolerance, for instance, for our players messing around in scrims. Because we scrim, we have we have fewer scrims, so we have to take advantage of the ones that we do have. Maybe as an example, but without going into too many specifics, it's a lot of things outside of the game and a lot of sort of tailor-made practice towards individual players. I think that's the best one.
Right. Now, the next topic I want to touch on is actually, you have this dream that this Mad Lions squad, this year it looks like you guys are already going to make Worlds, but that at least next year you guys are definitively a top tier team. Once again, you guys are already way ahead of schedule with that, but let's just stick to what you guys have planned out for now. After such a successful year like this one, something that would be on my mind, as somebody who's part of the team and involved with the roster, is that there is a big chance that perhaps bigger teams who can perhaps offer more money or just a lot of money for your players on this current roster will try to take those players away. Is that something that you actively consider?
I mean, obviously it's a concern. We like to believe here that the system that we have at Mad Lions is something that players want to be a part of, right? Like, I believe that, again, whilst I believe that Kazi and Kaiser are exceptional players, for instance, I just use Kazi and Kaiser because they're sort of the people who are doing a lot of the LEC interviews, the people that are the most hyped. These are players who thrive because they play with each other, and they thrive because of the system that we have here, right? Which is not the same as they would have in other teams. There's a lot more sort of freedom, a lot more tailoring of practice, and we hope that is enough of an incentive. This is a roster, obviously, which will I'm 99% sure will stay together for 2 years. I'm not going to say that we know everything which is going to happen in 2 years. Obviously, our focus now is not on 2021. It's on the end of 2021. It's for qualifying for Worlds. We don't really hold anything as guaranteed, simply because, of course, Splice were guaranteed to be rogue in playoffs last year and ended up losing 3-0. So we're not counting our chickens before they hatch yet. But yeah, I mean, obviously, this is obviously as somebody who was part of the Splice organization. Of course, you look at G2 now, and 2 of those players were Splice players, originally Splice players. Perks is the only one who was there from the original gamers too. They brought in Wonder and Mickey, and they've both performed excellent on G2. So this is something obviously that we're concerned about, but we're hoping that what we offer at Mad Lions is something which can be competitive, definitely, with anybody in Europe. And I don't think any of our players are keen to rush to North America right now. I mean, if Kaiser wanted to go to North America or Kazi, like lots of our players had. I'm pretty sure that 3 of our players had offers from North America last split. Last off season.
Yeah.
And all of them turned down North America, and of course Shadow, as has been publicly documented, had offers from China and chose to stay in Europe. So I don't think they're planning to go and retire just yet. But hopefully this group of players can stay together definitely for the next 2 years. Hopefully find success together for a very, very long. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, right? This is obviously a squad that's thriving well because it's like crafted from the ground up, right? Like, but still, these players are young. They have ambition, and I can imagine that For example, would you say that Humanoid is a better mid laner than Nemesis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this split, certainly, I think it would be hard to argue otherwise.
Right.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah. So then, what if, for example, Fnatic, a large organization with a large budget as well, they could approach somebody like Humanoid to say, okay, listen, we offer you a spot at Fnatic, and obviously Fnatic with the history and their their legacy and overall they. I'm not going to say that their potential is higher than that of Mad Lions because obviously you guys are performing well, but at least where they are established at the moment, it seems more secure and maybe find a more surefire way towards that World Championship final or something. And is that something that, that is something a player like Humanoid or, Shadow or Karzi, Kaiser or Orome, they all could definitely consider that. And what do you think Mad Lions has to offer extra that these players will say, okay, we are gonna stay with Mad Lions for another year and betting on this roster for another year instead of going to a team that is already established?
Sure. I mean, I think that's fair. I think but the way that I would put it is to put it simply, what's happened in the past isn't actually predictive of anything that's going to happen in the future. As a coach, I've qualified for Worlds 7 times, right? 6 times, hopefully, going for my 7th. I should be correct. But the first time, the first thing that I would say to my players when we do our pre-meeting before the season is this may be true, but this is only the past, right? What you've achieved in the past isn't any predictor of what you do in the future. And I think that certainly if there was a case where maybe 3 other players were leaving. I think that maybe you would have an argument to be made, but certainly, if you were the first person to leave, when you see the rookies that you have on this team, you know that they can continue to go fast. You know that you have a lot of faith in Mac as your coach. You have a lot of faith in Jake, who is Viking, who is our sort of head of performance. You have lots of faith in Till, who's our general manager. To be the person who sort of breaks that system for a team that is improving at a slower rate and is arguably right now not as strong as some of the other teams is a big ask. And I mean, if I was in the shoes of one of my players right now, I would definitely look to see how far you can go with this roster, because there's no reason. I mean, this roster as rookies were able to beat G2 in their first place. There's no reason that they can't continue to challenge. And if they're able to mash up with G2, bring on Top Esports, bring on Jindong Gaming, bring on T1. The first thing that Marek told me after he lost to SKT in the quarterfinals last year is that he was disappointed because he couldn't play more League of Legends. He played against Dorothy, who was like one of his heroes. He played against Faker, who was one of his heroes. Matched up pretty well against his player. Actually, the player he suffered most against was Fofo on JT. But he played against Faker, he played against Dorothy, and he matched up well, and he looked good in those specific games. And against JT was a little bit rough, but against those specific mid laners, he looked good. And the incentive for being able to play at Worlds with a team you trust, with the support staff that you trust, is a big incentive. And a lot of our players are still very, very young. I mean, Kazi's only just turned 18, like 4 months ago, right? And there's a lot that you can achieve now before the field, the grass isn't always green on the other side, right? And that we have a good thing going right now, and I'm sure all of our players recognize this because they've all found success themselves at lower league level and and trust their teammates that they can continue to improve further. So I think that's a strong pull right now. Again, maybe ask this question 2021 at the end of 2021, and there'll be a different answer. But for now, I'm not concerned about that at all. Yeah, I suspect that even if one of the very, very top teams came from one of our players, there would be a very strong incentive for the players to stay. Of course, assuming we make playoffs, assuming we make worlds, if we go 0-6 now, 0-12 now to the end of the season, maybe there's a different question. But for now, that's not a concern.
All right. I'm writing it down, and I'll be contacting you in 2021 again and ask the same question. All right. Thank you very much for your time, Peter, and good luck with the rest of the split. And Yeah, I wish you all the best with this Mad Lion squad, man. It's very exciting to watch you guys.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's been a pleasure to talk this evening.